Holy crap, you will not believe what just happened to me yesterday. Like, I'm still spinning. My name's Blair, I'm 29, and yeah, I know, it sounds nuts already, but stick with me. So, here's the tea. My cheating ex-wife and her loser lover dragged me into court to humiliate me for being a mechanic. Yes, a mechanic. And I pretty much walked in expecting a snooze fest. Instead, I got the shock of my life when the judge dropped something on them that flipped everything upside down. Okay, quick background because I feel like I've been garbage at context lately. Sorry, BTW. I used to work these long-ass hours under the hood of cars, grease everywhere, smelling like engine oil and regrets. Meanwhile, my ex, Charlotte, had this whole influencer-ish thing going on, posting perfect latte art, avocado toast. I swear her life was a live-action Pinterest board. Our marriage, total double standard factory. She always demanded transparency. Where are you? What are you doing? Who's she? But God forbid I peek at her phone or ask one too many questions about her wine club meetups. Suddenly, I was the controlling one. Anyway, things fell apart when I caught her texting some random named Luke, like, every 20 minutes, emojis flying, hard eyes, the whole sickening package. I shut down, tears streaming, because of course she played the victim. You never appreciate me, you're too busy with cars, you don't understand my creativity. Total weaponized vulnerability move right there. I rolled my eyes so hard I almost sprained something. But then she ghosted me, moved out, took half my tools, and splashed a restraining order in front of me like some trophy. Fast forward, she files this ridiculous lawsuit claiming defamation or whatever, dragging me into court to prove I'm this back-alley grease monkey unworthy of respect. And her sidekick, Luke, sits there smirking like he just cured cancer by sending me a glitter bomb. I felt sick, like I was back in middle school being picked last for dodgeball, except the court was my gym class and the judge's bench my bullies. I waltzed in on Monday morning, rolling up in my truck with oil stains on my jeans. I'm not gonna lie, I was half expecting the judge to waggle a finger at me like, "Sit down, Sonny, your kind's not welcome here." But the real jaw-dropper came next. The bailiff called us up. Charlotte's wearing this crisp white suit that screams, "I win!" Hair perfect, makeup $1 million filter, and Luke's in a suit 2 sizes too big because, well, I'm guessing no one told him what tailored meant. Judge Thompson, super old school, salt and pepper hair, eyes like laser beams, starts the hearing. Charlotte's lawyer goes on a tirade about how I lied on my social media, spread false rumors, that she cheated, hurt her reputation at work, yada yada. Luke's lawyer chimes in that I publicly humiliated them by posting screenshots of their texts on Facebook. Dang, that one actually stung, felt like a gut punch even though I knew it was coming. My hands were clammy. I wanted to bolt. Then Judge Thompson, guy's got charisma out of nowhere, asks for my side. I blurt, "Your Honor, I'm a mechanic. I fix cars. But more than that, I know when someone's bullshitting, and these two have been lying through their overpriced teeth." I swear my voice shook, but I kept eye contact. That part of me, public persona, right, clicked, and I owned that courtroom vibe for a hot second. Charlotte sputtered, "Objection! That's irrelevant to the defamation claim." And I wanted to scream, "Girl, you married a grease monkey, yeah, it's relevant to your ego." But rule of law and all that, so I shut up. My lawyer finally earns his fees, pulled out something that made my jaw hit the floor. "You ready?" He produced proof that Charlotte had been siphoning rent money, like actual bank statements, taking her share of our shared account every month and then transferring it to Luke's. Turns out, while I'm scrimping to pay the bills, she's popping champagne in some private stash. I just stared at the paper, mouth ajar, because I honestly never saw that coming. I mean, I suspected her of hiding money, but I never got hard proof until my lawyer, bless his lazy soul, subpoenaed her bank records. The judge looked at the docs, 20 grand missing over 6 months, and the courtroom basically burst into a whisper storm. Charlotte's face went red, actually red, not that Instagram filter glow. Luke looked like he wanted to vanish. Judge Thompson paused for a beat, then said, Ms. Reynolds, these records were not disclosed to the court nor to your ex-husband. This is a serious omission under oath. And here's the kicker. He ruled that since she knowingly lied and withheld financial info, her case against me is thrown out. More than that, she's on the hook for my legal fees plus a fine for contempt. Cue my inner shade session. Look at you now, queen of convenience apologetic, facing professional destruction because you thought you could rewrite our history. I'd give you a pity clap, but honey, I'm too busy drooling over this karmic justice. Charlotte tried to say it was a mistake, that the withdrawals were loans she intended to repay. Total gaslighting expert move. I wanted to shout. Loans? Girl, I asked for receipts. You have receipts for every latte, but you lost these? But I kept calm, smiled sweetly at Judge Thompson, and let him finish. On contempt, I'm ordering a bench fine of $5,000 and reimbursement of all Mr. Carter's court costs, to be paid within 30 days. Failure to comply will result in a wage garnishment order. Boom. Severe financial devastation served cold. After that, Charlotte's lawyer tried to salvage face, but the judge was done. Mic drop. I walked out feeling like I was levitating in my greasy boots. Outside, the paparazzi of our shared friend group, okay, my buddy Danny and his cousin, were waiting. They whipped out their phones, shouting, Blair! Did you see her face? Did you see Luke clutching his jacket? I laughed so hard a passerby probably thought I was a criminal. But get this, I didn't feel triumphant the way they expected. I felt strangely empty. I mean, I'm supposed to be ecstatic, right? But as I sat in my truck, the engine ticking, adrenaline fading, I realized I'd been chasing this vindication, this public display of karma, hoping it'd fill the hole she left in me when she walked out. Instead, I got this bitter taste in my mouth that no court victory can wash away. So yeah, the judge threw out their entire case and slapped Charlotte with fines and court costs she can't possibly pay without selling half her designer wardrobe. Her reputation's in shambles now. Her influencer gig is dead, sponsors cancelled faster than her excuses. Luke's career coach title is now a punchline in every group chat. They've both been exposed, publicly collapsed like a house of cards. That professional destruction we all live for. But here's where it gets twisted, because I'm still me, still flawed, still refusing to own my part. Instead of feeling relief, I'm seething about the fact that they forced me into a courtroom to begin with. I'm mad at the judge for making me relive every shameful panic in front of a bunch of strangers. I'm mad at my lawyer for grilling me about the Facebook posts. And most of all, I'm mad at myself for caring enough to show up in that damn courtroom. Yesterday evening, I drove past our old place, where we used to hang holiday lights, where I'd leave grease stains on the floor that she'd bitch about. I caught a glimpse of her new pad, white stucco, high-rent vibes, probably with an avocado tree out front. I felt this weird pang, like heartbreak, only this time it's pure spite. Honestly? I hope she loses everything she built, her fake persona, her fake security, her fake love, and ends up alone with Luke, both of them realizing too late that karma isn't a court order, it's a mindfuck. Where do I go from here? Back to the garage, back to the oil, back to my quiet life where no one cares about my LinkedIn profile. My reputation as just a mechanic is intact, and honestly, I've reclaimed pride in it. I'm the guy who fixes shit, literally. No more validation seeking on social media, no more moving goalposts of some perfect influencer marriage. Just me, the tools, and the hum of engines. I don't regret calling her out. I don't regret posting those texts. But I wish it didn't have to go through all this. I wish I hadn't let her weaponize her vulnerability to make me feel small. And yet here I am, still telling stories at 2 a.m. like some messed up campfire legend, half laughing, half crying, wondering when the last time I felt truly free. So let this be your guilty pleasure drama for the night. Remember, karma's a judge with no fear, but sometimes it needs a gavel and a courtroom. And sometimes, after the gavel falls, you discover the real wreckage isn't theirs, it's yours. But hey, at least I got my money back. And she got hers, rock bottom, courtesy of Charlotte Reynolds. Cheers to that. So let's pick up where we left off. Me, Blair Reynolds, feeling the aftershock of a courtroom victory that should have been my release but instead turned into another weight pressing on my chest. I know you want all the juicy details next, so buckle up. Part 2 starts right after that last sip of revenge. I spent the next morning sputtering coffee into my laptop, scrolling through endless news alerts about Charlotte's meltdown. You wouldn't believe how many messages I got, some old friends checking in, others trash-talking her in group chats, and a few random strangers who saw our courtroom drama on some legal gossip site. It was like watching a viral train wreck, messy, compulsive, and completely uncontrollable. Of course, I posted a snarky status. Court closed. Keys turned in. My ex's empire now in rubble. Mic drop. Yeah, I know, extra. But let's be real, if you've ever scored a win this sweet, you go full dad joke mode on social media. By lunchtime, my phone buzzed with a notification from my lawyer. Docs filed in family court confirming full reimbursement. She's due to pay by next week. Failure to comply triggers wage garnishment. Translation: Charlotte is royally screwed, and Luke is along for the sinking ship. I almost spit out my taco. I realized then that the real fun begins when the countdown to her financial collapse kicks off. I drove to the garage later that day, expecting the comforting smell of oil and metal to ground me, but all I could think about was Charlotte in tears over her bank account. The foreman, Joe, think big mustache, big heart, and big mouth, gave me that wink. Heard you wiped the floor with Reynolds yesterday. Congrats, champ. He slapped me on the back so hard I nearly dropped the wrench. I grinned. It felt good to be champion of the grease-stained underbelly of this world. Still, a tiny part of me twisted at the thought that all this was happening because of a woman I once thought was the center of my universe. That evening, I sat in my truck after clocking out, staring at the empty passenger seat where Charlotte used to nap on long drives. I cranked the steering wheel, hands turning white, and I thought, did I celebrate too hard? Will this haunt me later? But nah, who has time for regrets? Not me. At least not tonight. Instead, I grabbed my phone, typed a quick text to that friend, who still had Charlotte's number saved. It read, "Hey, just witnessed Charlotte's bank hitting zero. Confirmed?" 2 seconds later reply, "Dead. Dry as my ex's humor." Perfect. Friday morning rolled around, and I got the call, Charlotte's wages are being garnished. She texts me, "You monster. I can't believe you do this." I took a screenshot and posted it. Call it immature, but I was batting 1,000 in petty justice, and I couldn't stop. The messages kept flooding in, some telling me to show mercy, others telling me to keep it coming. I ignored the mercy crowd. If she thought she could weaponize tears to avoid accountability before, let her drown in bank overdrafts now. Then, out of the blue, social services emailed me. They flagged my old custody agreement because Charlotte hasn't been paying child support. Yes, scream emoji. I sat there, mouth hanging open. I forgot she'd been skipping support payments for months. My mind raced. Is this karma or just more paperwork? Suddenly, the victory I felt yesterday turned sour. Did I really win if our kids missing school supplies because mom's flat broke? But before I could spiral, I texted my sister, she's one of those so nice they're annoying people, and told her to pick up extra notebooks for my son. I refused to let Charlotte's collapse hurt my kid. No way. Saturday afternoon, I found myself at the park with my son, pretending nothing was wrong. He swung on the monkey bars, calling me Dad, and for a second, all the bitterness drained out. I watched his legs pumping the air like nothing else in the world mattered, besides maybe that giant ice cream sundae I promised him afterward. I smirked because here's a fact: no courtroom, no banker's transfer, no lawsuit against me matters more than this kid's grin. I sent Charlotte a text. Your support's late. I had to cover your share. Expect an invoice. I know, petty again, but I refused to let her off the hook for her own negligence. That night, I got a call from Charlotte's lawyer, her last lifeline, apparently, begging for a settlement plan. They wanted me to reduce the garnishment so she could pay bills. I laughed so hard I nearly snorted. Then I remembered I wasn't completely heartless. I told him I'd agreed to a modest installment plan, provided Charlotte publicly apologized on court record. My lawyer cringed, but I insisted. If she wants her reputation back, even a sliver of it, she needs to eat crow in front of a judge. I could practically taste her humiliation. Sunday came, and I didn't move from my couch until I had to, my first truly lazy day in ages. I flicked between football reruns and those true crime shows about people who think they can outsmart destiny. Typical Blair day. But then, at 3 p.m., my phone rang, XO attachment. I answered. Her voice was shaky, lower than I've ever heard. Blair, I'll do it. I'll go to court Tuesday and apologize. Just please have mercy. She sounded desperate, and it hit me. This is the same voice that once sobbed on my shoulder when I said, I'll stop looking at your phone if you stop sneaking calls. She used every weapon in her arsenal before, and now, stripped of filters and designer clothes, she's back to me bare. Tuesday morning, I stepped back into courtroom number 3, wearing my old leather jacket over a clean t-shirt. Symbolic, right? I strutted in, like a gladiator about to watch the defeated queen plead for mercy. Charlotte entered in a brown pantsuit, neutral, unremarkable, much like her spirit right now. Luke wasn't there. Apparently, he bailed as soon as the garnishment started. Can't blame him. He's part of the collateral damage. Judge Thompson peered over his glasses. Ms. Reynolds, you requested to address the court. Proceed. My palms sweated, but I relaxed. This was my moment. Charlotte cleared her throat, voice quivering. Your Honor, I betrayed Mr. Carter's trust on many levels. I withheld finances, I manipulated him emotionally, and I never appreciated his hard work, or him. For that, I am truly sorry. She paused, looking directly at me. I am ashamed of how I treated him. My stomach tightened. Real shame wasn't her style, so I half expected a sarcastic punchline. Instead, her eyes filled. A gust of cold justice swept through me. She actually sounded sincere. Beneath that chip-on-her-shoulder attitude, I caught a glimpse of real regret. Funny how karma works. Sometimes, after you smear someone in the mud, you discover you aren't entirely innocent either. But I kept my face stoic. Authenticity was overrated in a courtroom. Judge Thompson nodded slowly. Ms. Reynolds, your apology is noted. Mr. Carter, are you satisfied with this acknowledgement, and prepared to adjust the garnishment schedule? I paused. True confession, everything in me screamed to say, no, let her suffer. But a bigger part, the part that actually cares about justice, yelled, yes. Because if the whole point was to expose her toxicity, then this was closure, not another round of petty strikes. I said, yes, Your Honor. I accept her apology, and I'll agree to the proposed payment plan. Judge Thompson smiled ever so slightly and dismissed the court. The gavel's thud echoed like a final chapter closing. Outside, Charlotte waited with damp eyes. She tried to smile, but it faltered. I felt, what? Relief? Empathy? I'm not a robot. Even a toxic, bratty narrator has layers. She whispered, thank you. But I couldn't look her in the eye. Instead, I said, don't fuck it up this time. It came out harsher than I planned, but hell, some habits die hard. Now here we are, Monday morning, 9 days after the original hearing. Charlotte's paying on time, her bank account rising by tiny drip feeds. Luke ghosted her. No surprise, leaving her researching new roommates on Craigslist. My son's back in school with new pencils, and I've clocked in 60 hours at the garage with zero distractions. And me? I've learned something surprising. Victory tastes a lot like responsibility. I could have milked her downfall forever, but I chose to end the saga, mostly for my kids' sake. So what's next for Blair Reynolds? I'm starting night classes on small engine design. Yeah, education pays, even for grease monkeys. I still post savage statuses now and then, because old habits die slowly, but mostly, I focus on what matters, my kid, my craft, and an occasional late-night rant to you, my ride-or-die friend. Karma gave Charlotte a wake-up call, Now it's up to her to stay awake. As for me? I'm free. Free of pretenses, free of debt, and free of a marriage built on double standards. And if she ever tests me again, she knows where to find me, at the top of the judge's call list. The end, for now.